Okay, all right. So the big choice, and I brought the study here for tonight for us to get a little understanding of this passage that we're going through right now, of this transformation that our planet is going through. And some of the studies here, I brought some information that I took it out from the book, The Law of One. This book was created between the 1981 and 1985 here in the United States. And it's a book that I think every one of you should take a look and study deep that book. A book with knowledge very hard to understand because of the language. It's in English, but the explanations are so well put that sometimes it's difficult to understand. I have been studying this book for several years now. The book is relatively small. It's 185 questions only, I think. 4 different books, but with the amount of knowledge today, very updated for our days today. So tonight we're going to talk about densities, and I want to show you here what it means, density. Density refers to how much mass or energy it is an amount of space. The mass is information, and the space is the measure of the connectedness of the information. In a low density form, energy is concentrated, heavy and closer together and more like matter. In high level density consciousness, energy is expanded, light and further apart, more like energy. So lower densities, more compact, more heavy. Higher densities, more light. The mass is more spread apart. That's the reason why we refer to our mentors when we see them, when they appear to us, when we feel them. We feel them in the form of light, bright light, because they are in higher density. What is the difference between the density and dimensions? So right now, we have 8 densities. The first density is composed of water, air, fire, and earth. The second density is composed of the plants and the animals. The third density is us. That's this density over here. The 4th density is the density of love. The 5th density is the density of wisdom. The 6th density is the density where love and wisdom is combined. The 7th density is when we are connecting with God, making us one. And some people do talk about the 8th density, that we are become one with God. So tonight we're going to be talking about the 3rd density, our density. And if you have any question, you can interrupt me and I will answer your questions. Each dimension defines love. Today we're going to be talking about also love on these dimensions. Inside the densities, there are several dimensions. We are on a 3rd dimension now. Of course, everybody knows length, height, and width. That's our dimension today. And in each dimension today, we understand love in a different way. And here's how we understand love in our 3rd density. The third dimension tries to control love. This mindset thinks love is the ability to control behavior with expectations, fear, compromise, obligation, promises, and most of all, guilt. That's how we understand love on our 3rd density. When we love somebody, we expected this, and this is other behavior when we are in love with someone. And the third dimension looks for having someone that, when you love somebody on this density, we are looking to have this, makes them feel good by saying and doing things they like, feels a need or void in their life, such as the need for security, makes promises, and is willing to be different to please them. They can depend on it, is uncomfortable with change, apologize for wrongdoing. And that's how we love today in a third density. Okay, this is how we are, our behavior when we are in love with somebody, with our partners, with our kids, with our families. This is the way we behave when we are with people that we love. That's how we see love in a third density. I know it sounds a little harsh because over here we see that, and that's why he mentioned here, to control love, because we are trying to control something throughout our feelings. Ability to control behavior, because when you love somebody here, you want them to be the way you want them to be, right? Like parents with kids. I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a lawyer. I want this. I want this. Instead of giving freedom to the human being to choose and do whatever they want. The ability to control with behavior with expectation, right? But I thought you're going to say that. I thought you're going to give me that. I thought you're going to use common sense. And that's how we love each other here. With expectations, we fear, right? We always fear to lose somebody, right? We always fear the death. We fear death because we do not understand death, and that's the reason why we fear death. Because we want them always with us. We think that when we lose somebody, we actually lost them forever. And that we don't have the mindset that we not lose them. Compromise, you want our loved one to compromise to ourselves. We want them with obligations, promises, and most of all, guilt. There is a lot of guilt going on the process of love. So we understand this here. And then they come back, and then we always want to find somebody that we can depend on and to fill a void, to feel secure, right? When people are alone, people always say, oh, I want to find somebody because I'm alone. Because I want to feel secure. I wanted somebody to make me secure. I wanted somebody that I can depend on it. You hear all these phrases all the time. This is the love. And we think this is beautiful because that's the love we understand on this third density. On the fourth density, the fourth dimension believes love is a feeling that reveals itself when it is extended to others. This mindset thinks love is the ability to control the love they feel with their own loving thoughts, being grateful, forgiving, and using the inner guidance, instead of trying to find someone special like the third dimension. The fourth dimension is about extending love no matter who it is. So we see a lot of talk about this moving, this transition that we are going through. And the transition from the third density to the fourth density. And I brought this study tonight so we can understand this transition and what we need to make this transition, right? We understand that we are on a cycle of 75,000 years, and this cycle happens for us on a process of evolution. And we are now on the end of this cycle of 75,000 years. 75,000 years is a predicament that it takes for a spirit to evolve from the third density to the fourth density. Okay? But this planet is already on a third cycle of 75,000 years. So that means that we already been here for more than 300,000 years trying to make this move. Okay? And we are now ending the third cycle of 75,000 years. I want you guys to understand that, because in Spiritism, we use a different type of language to do this transition. But now we are receiving more information and how this process happens, because it's a natural process. It's not a process given by the creation of the universe or the creator of the universe or by mentors or spirituality. It's a natural process of evolution, of transformation. It takes about 75,000 years, this process. But for some of us, it's taking longer. And by the end, this cycle, if the people are not ready for this transition, they're going to have to redo again the cycle of 75,000 years. Okay? It is. But the Huawei there was well put it, because we are already on the third cycle of 75,000 years. And yet, our home not yet reached the amount of consciousness to move into the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension is not something that is invisible to us. Like I say, it's the dimension of love. So this move is going to happen when we learn to love like this. Do you understand?
What about if you are learning how to love like that and you understand that love is completely different in the same plane or whatever we are right now? Because you notice that you change your way of loving a person from what you said before and what you're feeling right now. You love is extended to others. You're more.
Yes, I'm going to explain this over here. So in the fourth dimension, focus of the love is on being happy no matter what anyone else say or does, not needing to control behaviors of others or themselves to feel better, following the inner guide, forgiving and not taking things so seriously, practicing being grateful daily, observing the fearful and attacking thoughts. We're going to go through this. Then replacing them with loving thoughts as soon as possible. Taking full responsibility for the ability to feel good. Learning to love unconditionally. That means practicing not what? Left. Not what? Not lefty? Any condition or whatsoever tempt them into not loving, not in a minute. So what does this means here? So that's the type of love that we need to have so we can move here. Move into this next step. Look at the difference here. When we, on this phrase here, extending love no matter who is with. So it's unconditional. We need to move from nationalists to universalists. We need to move, we need to be happy no matter what is happening to our life, because we need to see this life as an illusion, as a movie, as a process that teaching us. We need to be disattached to the things exterior. That's what they're saying here. Not needing to control the behavior of others. Respecting others, their free will, no matter what their choice is. Okay? Without anti-judgment, others themselves to feel better. No needing to control behavior or others or themselves to feel better. You don't need nothing exterior for you to feel in peace. Oh, I need to buy a house. I need to have a better job. I need to have a kid. I need to have a husband or wife. I need to have money. I need to have 3 vacations a year. And then I'm going to be happy. None of this. Peace needs to be within. That's the type of love we need. That's the scale that we need to be so we can transition. Okay? Following the inner guide. What is the inner guide? What is your inner guide?
Your spirit, your soul.
Your consciousness. Because your consciousness is part of creation. Your consciousness is not your spirit. But you can understand as it is. But it's not. It's more complicated than that. But let's understand as it is so we make it easier. We need to attach to that consciousness so we attach to the divine. So we streamline this energy to us. So we learn how to love this way. Practicing being gratefully daily. Observing their tearful and attacking thoughts. What does this mean? Every time you have an attacking thought, what is an attacking thought is? I have said this here many times and I'm going to repeat it. The thoughts does not come from the spirit. The spirit do not think. The thoughts are always coming from your mind. And your mind does not want you to move forward. The mind does not like changing. The mind does not like evolution. The mind does not like transformation. So every thought that comes in your mind to interfere with your inner peace is coming from your mind. So that's what we call attacking thoughts. And you need to look and say, listen, this is just a thought. This is not me. Because the thought is not coming from you. It's the same that somebody comes to you and say, look, Elisa, you are a thief. But you know you're not a thief. This is not going to affect you because you are for sure you're not a thief. So you doesn't bother with that. That's what a thought is. A thought wants to keep you on external. Because every time you go into the inside, the thought will come in and say, why are you doing this? You think you're better than others? You think you're divine? That's the thoughts that comes into your head when you're in meditation. To take you out of this. But you need to be strong and say, this is not me, because the thought is not you. It's never you. Okay? We need to start combat, because what's happening when an attacking thought comes, you attach to that. When you attach to that, you follow that thought with feelings, with worries, with everything. And then you get it out of the present, and you go into the future or into the past when you attach yourself to a thought. Like today, somebody told me that killed a squirrel on a traffic way here today. She thought it was a bad thing. Why is it a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. It just happened. And death is a process of what? Natural process that everybody's going to go. That she killed intentionally? No. But it happened. So the thought comes to her mind that she's bad. I did a bad thing. That's the mind trying to put guilt on the person. So she goes into the lower vibration and loses the inner peace. So the thought is what? Not you. Remember that. Practicing being grateful every day that we wake up in the morning, we look around. Okay? I was reading a chapter of Nosula, the Astral City, chapter 27. And the guy was complaining. He goes in this room where they had just rescued this whole bunch of souls from the lower levels vibration. And they were suffering spirits. And this guy said, oh my God, how can this happen? And the mentor said to him, look, be grateful. They are already here in the hospital. They're already being rescued, receiving medicine, and they will be better. They are no longer left out in the dark and the cold of the lower vibrations. That's what's to being grateful. Always to connect with the peace, with good. Always. It doesn't matter what you are, because there is no negative and positive. There is obstacles in our lives. Okay? And there is processes. That's why we need to look at it. Observing the fearful and attacking thought, taking full responsibility for the ability to feel good. In the first week of the year, I did a speech here talking about this, because we have this vice of putting all the responsibility of our life in the hands of who? God. We always are saying, God is in control. He's not in control. We always putting the responsibility in God's hand. I already did everything. Now I'm putting God's hand. God does not have a hand. Okay? God did one thing. Create the universe. And us. And now the responsibility is ours to manage this universe and the connection that we have with one another. Because when I say I did everything, now I put in God's hand. If it doesn't work because God failed, or was the wish of God to go in that way? God does not have wishes either. It doesn't. Okay? So we need to take full responsibility for our acts, for our steps in this world. We need to connect with our inner being in a more adult way. Not like kids, like we've been doing for so long. If something doesn't happen that way we want it, it's because God didn't want it that way. How can this be? Look how infantile this thought is. Why God wants one thing different than the other for others? Think about it. So who's in control? Who? We are. We are in control. Because if you were not in control, we had no free will. If he is in control, I'll let them do everything. So we need to get out of this childish behavior, this childish understanding of God, and become a little bit more adult related to that. Learning to love unconditionally. What does this mean? We are too attached to family, to blood, to nationality, to language, to religion. Okay? Going back on the book, we are studying the book Nossa Astral City. On chapter 20, Laura, she's expressed herself because she's an imperfect spirit on the city, on this spiritual city. And she tells Andrea Luiz that the women should not work outside their home. It's right there in Nossa chapter 20. But that book was written in 1940. That was the mentality back then. And when she disincarnated, because she disincarnated in the 1900s, okay? She disincarnated 80 years before that book, Laura. So she lived even in a more conservative era. She took that with her. And we know that when we die, we don't change. We don't become angels or devils. We are exactly who we are. There is no change. And there is people until this day defending this idea because it is in a book, Nossa. There was no evolution of the knowledge. It needs to progress. Knowledge is like this. It's like a school. We teach in one way for the kindergarten, another way for the first grade, and it keeps growing, right? Why is different when we study spirituality? Because everything's changing. Everything is in a movement. We are growing consciously, and we need new teachings. We cannot eternalize those teachings that took us from the darkness and put us into the light, but there is more work to do. We need to continue into that. So we are too attached to those beliefs from the past. And if we don't undress ourselves from these beliefs, from these old personalities, we're not going to be able to create new personalities that will love unconditionally. We won't. I was in vacation in North Brazil about a month ago, and I have a sister-in-law that has a restaurant in this city. And we were talking, this guy that had a restaurant also came in and said, listen, two people came in to fill the waiter position, and I was listening to him to talk, and he said one was Brazilian and the other one was from Bolivia. And I gave the job for the Brazilian because I need to do the job for the people that is from my country and this and that because, I didn't answer anything. I respect him, his way to choose and everything. And I thought to myself, what is the difference between those two? It's just a nationality. They are human beings. There's no difference. The difference is in you because you choose them because you think nationality is important. But it's not. You should give the job for those who are better, for the one who fit the position better. Not look his nationality because you're in Brazil. You're not going to give a job for a foreigner. This doesn't make sense. And that's how we think. That's how we feel. And that's how we do with our families, with our kids. We protect our kids, but the kids of others, it's like animals. Does it make sense? It doesn't. So we need to get out of this village way of thinking, this tribalism that we live on. And we need to expand our conscience as universal. Because if today I was born in Brazil, tomorrow I'm going to be born in Iraq or India or Russia or Italy. The soul does not have a nationality. What has a nationality is the body, and we are not the body. We see here in this country also this division because of nationality, because of status, and this and that, because we are too focused and separating ourselves and subclasses and classes and social classes and languages and skills and color of the skin and all this mess that we are on right now. And we forgot to look into the soul, that the soul has none of this. The soul not even have a gender, for crying out loud. And we are focused on this. So, to love unconditionally, we're going to have to go through this. We're going to have to throw that away, everything. And it started again just like in a kindergarten. Otherwise, we're going to have to start another cycle of 75,000 years. And then more. It's not a cycle of 75,000 years and 2023. Okay? Or 2030. Or 300 years when you come back here. It's going to be a cycle on a primitive location. Okay? Going back, you're gonna need a big brush, not only to brush the hair of your head, but the brush of the entire body. Okay, so that's what we don't understand, because for us to learn, we need to start from the beginning. And the cycles are like this. We go back to the beginning. To our choice. It's not punishment. It's not God punishing us. It's us choosing. If you don't want to move forward to the 4th grade, it's okay. You can stay on the 3rd grade. Okay? But if the third grade is moving forward and there is no more class for third grade, you're going to have to go back to the first and do it all over again because there is no more room. And that's what we've been seeing. So we need to make this big choice. So how do we get from third density to fourth density? You saw already how the difference of love is. But how do you learn how to love like this? What do you think? We have to make a choice. And what is this choice that we have to make? The choice is here. Serving you or serving others. This is the key of that door. Serving you, you can, because you have free will. But it's going to be only you. For you to love unconditionally, we need to serve others. It is the only path. It is the only path that we have to get into that unconditional love. Because when we serve others, because there are a lot of people that serve others thinking about themselves. A lot of people that serve others because they're going to receive in exchange something from the universe or from divinity or from whatever. They still are on the law that I'm good, I'm going to receive good things. I'm bad, I'm going to have. And this doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. The true serve others is really when you see other and you see no different between them and you. That's when you feel that, that's when you go into the process of unconditional love. And serving others is going to put you in that path. Because you could start because of the guilt that you have inside of you. You see so much suffering in the world, so much hunger and wars and this. You go out and say, I need to do something because Jesus told me to do it. It's not like that. He did told us. He did told us. But we need to let this grow inside of us just like a flower. And after the flower grows, there is a perfume that goes around. And that's what we need to do. It's a natural process. The serving others is the only key to open the door for us to go into the fourth dimension. And that book that I mentioned here initially, The Law of One, the entities that mention that in every single aspect of the book. We have the book Nosso Lar, 50 chapters talking about serving others. The entire literature of Spiritism, over 5,000 books, is based on what? Serving others. That's the only way that we're gonna modify this third dimension love that we have today to a fourth dimension love. And then we can go across. We see the life starts on the first density, movement on a second density, and work on a third density. So it will answer the question that everybody wants that answered. Why are we here? Now you know. To serve others. And it's not late for anybody. It's not late. The field is full of need. In this room here, I see everybody, and everybody here has the condition to serve. Nobody he is incapable of not to serve him. When the man 2,000 years ago went in there and told the guy, leave everything and follow me, he was not saying you to dress in white and follow Jesus wherever he went. No. When he said that is leave everything of this imaginary world that we live and focus on the teachings that I'm giving to you. Because we only going to change. And from the change will be transformation when we start listening. And no one listening. No one listening to no one. Because of the beliefs that we already have in us. They are stronger than any teachings. And we're not going to drop that for nothing. Because we are so sure of ourselves that we're not going to drop. For crying out loud, the man came from a dimension of wisdom and love, gave us infinite teachings, and has passed more than 2,000 years, and others came after him. And we're still on the same circle. We need to start listening. Because when you listen, you remember. When you remember, you do different. It's like pepper. Oh my God, this is too hot. I'm not going to use anymore because you felt. But the problem with that is that we don't listen. We read the teachings that are brought to us, but it's like a wind that comes. It goes away. We need to start listening. Because we are going through a process. I'm not here to put fear in anybody. We went through this many times. You're going to reincarnate again. You're going to forget everything anyway. Right? Nobody remembers. But when you listen, you don't need to remember your past life. When you listen, the teachings of the elevate ones that bring us, we apply. Do you need to remember what you were in a past life? No, because you already have anything that you need here right now. You just need to listen and apply. Simple as that. And we don't need to be angels to serve others. We don't need to be perfect beings to work in communities. No, we don't. We just need to be willing. That's the start. And then after you're there, you need to look in the eyes of the people that you're helping and see no different. Because in the end, after we understand that and live that, we're going to understand that we are helping ourselves. Because we are one. Isn't it? We are all connected. We came from the same source. And our path is that source. Our path of transformation is to reunite it again with divinity. It's not that we're going to lose our individuality. No. Reunited again is to live just like they live. With peace, with happiness in every moment of our lives. Through this process of the densities that we are going through. It's very simple. I went through this here. I saw the faces of you, of everybody. Everybody very disappointed. Because to love the way he's asking here is hard for us. But that's not the key. This is the love that is there now. The key for us to get to there, to the initial of the density, is to serve others. And while you're there, you're going to learn to love, like we saw here on this slide here. When I put it in, people say, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I saw in the faces. Everybody's saying I'm in trouble. No, but it's not. It's very easy to do this jump. We just need to listen and apply, because the teachings are already here, and the field to serve others are innumerous in every country of this planet. So let's do it. Let's get out of this chair. Let's get out of our sofa. Let's get out of our comfort zone. If you're really, really serious about spirituality, about moving forward, that's the key. I brought the book, The Law of One, to confirmation of information. It was written in 1981 to 1985. Spiritism was written in 1857, and other books until this day are still coming in, bringing the same messages to serve others. I just brought those information so we have confirmation from two different sources, from two different locations. And there was others. Every single people today, they study spirituality here in this country, especially, are focused on this point of serving others, because they already know that is the path. That is the only path. All right? Thank you for everybody for listening to me today. Do we have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you.